All right, guys. Today we are starting sleep disorders. The textbook has a whole section on this that has been cut out of this year's study design. So we're moving straight ahead to circadian rhythm phase disorders. And what are they? Circadian rhythm phase disorders, which from now on I'll just call CRPD when I've got it typed, are a group of sleep disorders that involve sleep disruption that is primarily due to a mismatch between an individual's sleep-wake pattern and the pattern that is desired or required. So in other words, when they're wanting to be awake, they're very tired and their body wants to sleep. When they're wanting to sleep, they're quite awake. So when their body's wanting to sleep is not when they're wanting to sleep themselves. So it's believed that circadian rhythm phase disorders are primarily due to mechanisms and processes that generate and time sleep. So what's causing sleep to happen and the time that occurs. And basically what's happening is it's a difficulty in initiating, so falling asleep, maintaining, so staying asleep, and or the actual time that sleep starts or finishes. However, once sleep is initiated, the sleep episode does tend to continue its natural duration and it will have the normal NREM and REM cycles. So we'll have that 4 to 6 NREM or REM cycles that go for that 90 or so minutes. So there's 3 main reasons or causes of these. There can be naturally occurring changes or malfunctions of biological mechanisms or processes that regulate the sleep-wake cycle. So these could be ones that are supposed to happen, or these can be ones that aren't supposed to happen, but it's naturally occurring. It could be due to a mismatch between an individual's sleep-wake cycle and the schedule required by their schoolwork or social schedule. Or it could be a mismatch between an individual's cycle and the actual day-night cycle of their physical environment. So traveling to another country, for example. Suddenly the rhythm that you have is very different to your external environment. So we're going to look at 3 specific ones. And this lesson's just the sleep-wake cycle shift in adolescence. And then next lesson we're going to look at shift work and jet lag. So what is this sleep-wake cycle shift in adolescence? You guys have probably all experienced it. It's just a big change, or a sleep-wake cycle shift is a change in the timing of your major sleep episode. So any cycle shift can be forward or backwards. The one in adolescence, however, is forward. So in adolescence, you've got both biological and psychological social influences causing you guys to sleep later. So your entire sleep-wake shift cycle is shifted forward in time. And unfortunately, this is leading to most teenagers having an insufficient amount of sleep. And that lack of sleep is then detrimentally impacting daily functioning. So you're sleeping in class, you're not paying as much attention, you're not able to focus, it impacts memory. All of these things start to build up during the day because you're falling asleep later at night, but you're still having to get up at the same time in the morning. So you're losing a whole lot of sleep. So what causes it? Well, biological influences. So during adolescence, there's a hormonally induced shift of sleep-wake cycle forward by about 1 to 2 hours. So basically, once you become a teenager, you don't start to feel tired until 1 hour to 2 hours later than you used to. And what's going on is we talked about sleep being controlled by this hormone melatonin. So when you become a teenager, melatonin secretions that are coming from your pineal gland are actually peaking later in that 24-hour circadian cycle, which makes you tired later. So when you're 10, you might start feeling tired at about 9 o'clock because it's gotten dark outside, melatonin's been released, and so it starts to peak up here and you start getting quite tired. For some reason, when you're a teenager, up to about when you're 20 or so, so from puberty to about the age of 20, this hormone doesn't get released for another hour or two after those environmental stimuli, so that lack of light starts to occur. So you're actually getting this delayed response in melatonin. And that delayed response we call a delayed sleep phase disorder. So, as we said, this is massively impacting teens because you are getting less sleep. You're still waking up at the same time as your younger or older counterparts. So, what can we do to fix it? Well, we can try things like earlier bedtimes, dimming your lights earlier, so that then you're not getting as much environmental stimuli, reliance, relaxation techniques. But ultimately found no matter what we do, this is not a permanent solution. So it might help you on a particular night, but it's not a permanent solution to this shift. And because you are still going to wake up at the same time, but you're falling asleep later, you get this thing called sleep debt. And that's sleep that's owed and needs to be made up because of daily sleep requirements not being met. So basically, you're becoming sleep deprived and you're needing more sleep to function optimally. So although not the entire amount of sleep lost is required to ensure optimal daily functioning, you are going to need to catch up on more sleep on the weekend. So here you can see, yep, totally, absolutely alert, awake on a Monday because you've slept in on the weekend and you've made up to be optimally functioning. But by the time Friday rolls around, you've lost Monday night sleep, you've lost Tuesday night sleep, Wednesday night sleep, Thursday night sleep. All of a sudden, you're owing at least 4 hours of sleep. So what do? Saturday, you have a sleep in. But you don't need to necessarily sleep in for 4 hours to make up, or 5 hours by that point, to make up for the 5 hours you've lost during the week. What you can do, or what we find, is 2 hours can be sufficient. And also, the quality of your sleep becomes more important. So you're actually going to spend more time in that deeper and REM sleep than you would have if you hadn't lost that sleep. What else is impacting you guys going to bed later? Psychological and social things. So adolescence, huge time for starting to assert independence. So you're deciding your own bedtime. And that choice often leads to later bedtimes. It's also a time for increased demand on your time. So socializing, academic, shift work. You guys probably have casual jobs at this point. And what's going on is that time takes up your energy and it takes up the amount of time you have during your waking hours. So all of a sudden, you're probably going to choose to go to bed later to fit everything into those waking hours. And as a result, you're going to have more difficulty waking up in the morning. And as a result, sleep's also becoming a lower priority. All that socializing, academic work, actual work, is suddenly more important to you than sleep. So even though you might start feeling biologically sleepy at 11 o'clock, you're doing all these extra things, and so you're staying up later than that. Okay, we're done for now. Have a go at the learning activity, and next session we're going to look at shift work and jet lag.